This is take two. I just did one of these streams, but there were problems with it, and I'm just gonna try it again. So I'm doing this video as a way to commemorate what was my very first YouTube video. It was exactly 10 years ago today, and I didn't even know that it had been 10 years until someone uh, started a Reddit subtopic or whatever you call it. I don't really get Reddit too much. I hardly ever use it, but someone made a post on Reddit about this acoustic cover that I did 10 years ago. And people were very complimentary in the things that they had to say about it. Um, and as a result, a lot of attention was drawn to the video, like something like 2,700 new views in one day. And so I started getting all these notifications and the comments, one of which led me here, or rather led me to Reddit to see the things that were being said. And it was really kind of touching. It's been 10 years since I did that video, and it's gotten a lot of attention. And so I wanted to take today and just sort of talk about what life was like back then, 10 years ago when I did the video, and what motivated me to do it. Where was I in life 10 years ago? I was living in a basement room in southwestern Omaha, Nebraska. The house was owned by someone I knew back when I was in high school. I lived in that room for 10 months, and it was just a horrible period of time. I hated living there. The people were assholes in that house. And there was one day when no one else was home. And so I didn't feel encumbered with their presence. And I felt free and confident enough to sort of play music and just do what I loved to do. Um, so I had been surfing around on YouTube watching people performing various acoustic songs. That's something I used to do. I used to be a street performer in Omaha, and I would stand in this district near downtown called the Old Market, and just play acoustic rock songs and sing for people. And people would tip me. I'd get like $80 to $100 a night. That was kind of how I supported myself back then. But so, I just remembered having done that. And so I was surfing YouTube to look up other people doing acoustic covers of Tool, which was something I was known for in my hometown. And, you know, I was reminded of um, a video where I saw Stephen King addressing a classroom full of aspiring authors. And I'm paraphrasing here, but essentially what he said was that there would come a breakthrough moment in their development as authors when they would find themselves reading someone else's work and it would just hit them. My God, this really sucks. I can do better than this. And this got published. And that it's kind of a good analogy for what finally tipped me over the edge of like, all right, I'm just going to do a Tool song on camera and upload it. Because I'd seen a lot of people doing Tool covers, especially acoustic ones, and people were getting a lot of reaction for these covers they were doing, and they weren't, in my opinion, very good. So I felt like I could do better. So I did one. And now I've got people on Reddit saying that 10 years on, it's still one of the best Tool covers out there. And I'm very, very grateful to still be receiving so much positive feedback. It's really encouraging, and thanks for that. People have asked me to do tabs. Uh, Several comments of people saying, please, does anybody have the tablature for this cover? And people have sent me numerous comments and messages, and I've attempted to respond just saying, I look, I don't really do tabs. It would take me more effort than I'm willing to commit to tab out this cover of this Tool song. It's more instructive just to watch me play. I mean, if you understand the mechanics of the guitar in drop D tuning, and in this case, I had the whole guitar down a half step, so it was in C sharp, but whatever. You're watching a video of me playing it. It ought to be pretty self-explanatory. And a Tool tablature thing. It just doesn't seem like something I would care to do. So I'm not going to do tabs on it. I'm sorry, but There's also been people who've asked me to do more Tool covers and suggesting I try this song or do that song. And, you know, probably not going to do that either. At the time that I did that song, I was a lot more obsessed with Tool than I am now. And I felt that and have come to feel that I was too obsessed with Tool for too long. Uh, I feel like I was a much better songwriter before that period of time where I was obsessed with Tool and with the more tricky rhythms and weird time signatures and things. So I've made an effort over the last several years, 10 years, to sort of break myself of that because especially within my original work, I was starting to get tired of being typecast. I'm not really interested in being seen as a a Tool ripoff or a Maynard wannabe. And that leads me to a comment that took place. Um, Somebody asked me, "Ever going to do any more Tool covers, especially considering the views that you've got off this one video?" And again, I had received so many people asking me to do this that I came back with the following rather blunt reply. This was my comment. I've thought about it. I could do another cover, but in truth, it bugs me a little that of all the content I've posted online, here on YouTube and also on other places, that it is a performance of someone else's work which has received by far the strongest response. I did this grudge thing because I was frankly bored and I had been watching some other acoustic Tool covers on YouTube and said to myself, these guys kind of suck and yet they're getting all this praise, etc., what I've already explained here. And then I went on to say later in the comment, frankly, it also bothers me the way that Tool are treated like they're some kind of superior band, occupying some higher strata than almost anything else happening in modern music. Yeah, they're great, but they're not the only impressive or valid thing happening out there. Are they better than Primus? Are they a better band than Neurosis? Are they better than Helms Ali? Are they better than Paul Gilbert? Better than Devo? And aside from big name acts, I've seen tons of local level underground shows which featured exemplary musicianship as well as emotionally compelling content, all presented with genuine heart and professionalism. If that's what the audience were really after, then there's quality rock music to be found everywhere. But the most marketable element to Tool, that which makes them such a supposedly big deal, is something that's designed to appeal to people on a lower, more base level. It's a sales pitch, and frankly, it's begun to look less than honest to me. They act like they're some kind of ascended beings, out there charting the unknown possibilities of existence with their music and their shows. And yet, Maynard to this day can't resist a chance to publicly take a swipe at Creed when he isn't whining about his bandmates and blustering about how hard he works. So, yeah, I could probably do covers like this one of almost any Tool song, but to be quite honest, I'm kind of over it. Thanks for watching. So, that was the comment that I made back then. This was, I don't know, maybe a year and a half ago. And it generated some pretty nasty reactions. I've since taken the comment down, not because I don't stand by what I say, but because the ad hominem attacks that it was generating towards me personally were more than I felt inclined to respond to or to deal with. But I want to get into why I feel the way that I do. First of all, I'm directing most of that criticism at Maynard, not necessarily the other people in the group. Maynard is the face of the band in many ways. And I want to go all the way back to the year 2000. In December of 2000, Tool had just released, or was about to, they had just released Salival, which those of you who remember was released both in VHS and in DVD format. And it was a collection of all of their music videos plus an audio disc that included some really impressive live stuff. That live version of Push It, for instance, remains one of my favorite things that they have done. But they were doing a webcast and they were responding in real time to questions which had been transmitted to them by their fans. Within this webcast, the band no less than 10 times dumped on Creed. just dumped on him. And look, I'm not a fan of Scott Stapp, but I happen to think that Mark Tremonti is a really gifted guitarist. And as a guitarist, I felt like I learned a lot from watching Mark Tremonti play and trying to learn how to do his songs. The guy's very gifted, even if Scott Stapp's ridiculous persona overshadowed Tremonti's playing, it doesn't take away from the substance of what Tremonti did. And I'm able to sort of look past, Scott's ridiculous image or whatever and just focus on what I like. So add that to the fact that here I'm listening to a webcast of my favorite band and all of a sudden I'm listening to them talk about Creed. Like, why? It irritated me back then, and it still irritates me to this day, especially considering, and remember, this was a webcast from December of the year 2000. Let's fast forward 17 years. Maynard appears on the Joe Rogan Experience. It was episode 986 on July 12th, 2017. Maynard and Joe are talking about vinyl, and Maynard says, I think vinyl, there's a connection, there's a tactile. Joe asks, does it sound better? Maynard responds, I think it does. I mean, it depends on, are you Creed? It's never going to sound better. And then Joe responds with, how dare you? What about Nickelback? Let's shit on all the bands you can shit on with a free punch. And then there's this humorous exchange took place. And it reminded me, it's like 17 years later, he's still dumping on Creed. It's like, who cares, man? If you don't like a band, you don't have to hate them. You can just not pay attention to them. And there was more. There was an interview in 2002 where Maynard was again talking about other groups. He was being interviewed, I think it was in Revolver magazine. And he was asked, Tool's live shows are a unique sensory experience. What do you think it is that sets them apart from other live acts? Maynard's reaction was as follows. We are totally at odds with the current musical climate. Do you really think people are impressed by Nickelback? Or Limp Dick shit? How could you be impressed with Fred Durst? And here he goes on to, juxtapose bands like these with his that has more substance and more heart, and went on to invoke the names of Nirvana, Nine Inch Nails, Rage Against the Machine. And it's like, why are you devoting time in your interview to denigrate other bands? I don't get it. Why is it so important to you that you have to go on record talking shit on some band you don't like? To me, it takes away from what I liked so much about Tool. And all throughout his career, I mean, his public utterances are just replete with things just like that. Then there was this. I think it was back in 2011. And Maynard was out doing promo for Pussifer. And the topic came up, conversation drifted to the humor in Tool's music and how the fans of Tool often missed it. The interview reads, Maynard says, yeah, it's there, he says, but people miss it because they're so focused on the other bullshit. Shaking his head, he continues, it's lost. Insufferable people. It's just ridiculous. Retards. I'm sorry. Can't help them. Way too serious. Too much. Lighten up, he says. Well, I mean, isn't it kind of against the rules to use the word retard in that way? Just to begin with. And of course, after this, he was excoriated in the press for saying what he said, and so he went on to issue a tweet about how he was taken out of context. And in fact, here's his exact words. It is unfortunate that during an interview about Pussifer's Friday release of Money Shot, a comment I made in the context of a much lengthier discussion about obsessive fanatics was taken out of context by a few news outlets so they could drive up their own readership. It's called clickbait, and it's boring. Our core fan base aren't fanatics, they're music lovers, artists, and good people. It's the fanatics that are insufferable. Well, that's a very well crafted piece of damage control. And even if he was taken out of context, and even if he was trying to be humorous and didn't mean it quite the way it sounded, it didn't come off that way, including to the people in his own band. This is a direct quote from Adam Jones of Tool. We all know the stuff that Maynard does outside of Tool. He wants it to be just as important as Tool. And the Tool fans are the main people who support that. And the Tool fans are the ones who made the other opportunities happen for him. So I don't know why the fuck he would say something like that. I don't know why the fuck he would say something like that. It's for a long time when I was younger, I really had a lot of admiration for Maynard. And I still do have a lot of respect for him. I don't know the guy personally, but as he was so enthusiastic to point out in the song Hooker with a Penis, all I know about you is what you sold me. Consider me an unsatisfied customer. When you take this kind of stuff and compare it with the messages that he delivers in his lyrical content, especially with Tool, these ideas about transcending your ego and moving forward to the 46 and 2 Christ consciousness and recognizing our spiritual eternal unity with one another and all that kind of stuff. And then he goes and talks about limp dick shit. What can I say? That's a contrast that doesn't translate very well to me. And I'm not ashamed to say so. The guy's a very gifted artist, a very unique and very special talent, very hardworking and very prolific. But this mystique with which professional entertainers sell themselves to their audience can sometimes be pretty revealing, and that's what I've gotten irritated with over the years. I never said I was better than anybody, certainly not better than anybody in the band Tool, but Maynard's public persona has just gotten on my nerves kind of permanently. So that was the impetus behind my comment, and I stand by it. I'm not ashamed of it. Another thing that's been said within the comments is that, hey, I'm just doing other people's work and literally anybody on the planet could do it, and I don't have any original stuff. Yeah, I do. And some of y'all have already found it. It's right there on my YouTube channel. You just got to look. Currently in a band called Ancestors of God. Very proud of that. And on my YouTube channel, there's a video that I produced for a song called Blackened Skies. Check that out. I'm way more excited about the stuff that I've written than I am about the songs that I've covered. And so I hope that you guys who appreciated that cover I did of The Grudge 10 years ago will take a couple seconds and check out the other content that I've uploaded, because I'm way more proud of that. That said, however, thank you all very much. Thank you for the many, many positive comments that I've gotten. Thanks for all the nearly 200,000 people that watched and enjoyed that video. I really, really appreciate it. I never expected the video would. I mean, I'm not even talking about a video that's gone viral. We're not talking about tens of millions of views, but something as niche as this, I'm really proud that it spread as far as it did. And thank you all for having supported it. Thank you. So I'm going to leave it there. And here's to another 10 years of compelling content from yours truly. Be good to each other.